Hotep. Peace and blessings, and welcome back to Resurrection Time. I'm your hostess, Priestess HetHeru, RaatMwt. And today we're going to be joined by a very special guest, Sunni Patterson, and we're so happy to have her join us with the Inner Light family. And I'm going to go through her bio because she has done a lot of amazing work, and she has an extensive bio here. Sunni Patterson has been a featured performer at many of the nation's premier spoken word venues, including HBO's Deaf Poetry Jam and BET's Lyric Cafe. She has also shared her work on the Arsenio Hall Show, performing the song Black Unicorn with rapper 2 Chainz and singer Chrisette Michelle. Sunni has had the privilege of sharing her work on several international stages, including in Ghana, West Africa, Jamaica, Trinidad, and the Netherlands. I urge you to do this work in terms of utilizing the word as a healing art form, as a tool for liberation.
You know, I really believe that in the beginning was the word. You know, that everything began from this word, but moving even more so from, you know, the definition of a word that we see in with Paulo Freire and in the Pedagogy of the Oppressed, when he gives a definition that one word is composed of 2 parts, you know, and that's reflection and action. So within just this one, within this one word, within this one seed is the entire process, you know, of creation. So beginning in the space that we can't see to moving to the space that we do see, you know. So it's a big mathematical, scientific, you know, simple and complex piece all at the same time. But it's important because, you know, with a word, one, our internal dialogue is the most important thing that we have, especially when it comes down to how we see, how we think about freedom, how we think about ourselves, how we see and think about our brothers and sisters, if we even see others as our sisters, you know, everything that comes with it. So it's a heavy process that we kind of have to go through, especially being in this space when we are confronted with, you know, we've been confronted with so many traumas and so many images that don't favor full and complete liberation for, you know, for African peoples. So it's just important that the words that we speak and the words that we hear speak to just that full and complete liberation. You know, not just, oh yeah, you can be quote unquote free in this area. You know, you can be free here. You know, but you can't be free. You know what I mean? You can't be complete.
I really feel that. I feel the, you know, the spirit really voicing itself through your vehicle, you know, the ancestors and Oshun. And, you know, me also being a daughter of Oshun, I just was so drawn to you and your spirit and your fierce work for the liberation of our people. So I think that, you know, this is really so powerful because I see how this continuity of thought, you know, continues for our people in terms of, you know, the sacredness of the word and how we utilized it from ancient times, you know, into the present moment. You know, that it was something that was highly regarded and cherished. To be an orator, you know, in our ancient civilization was a high position, and it was one that was exalted because we respected the word. We valued it, you know, it was congruent with Ma'at. And so what was on your heart was on your tongue. And so it wasn't about just saying anything or, you know, using words deceptively or to exalt mammon, you know, this type of thing that we see as a reflection today from the colonial experience that we've had as a people that's distorted, like you said, our self-image, you know. And I love that your work comes from the inside out. We're going to take a short break, and we come back, we're going to come on and begin to go through this process. Many blessings. This is Priestess HetHeru, RaatMwt, starting Wednesday, July 27th. Join me as I examine and explore the unfolding age of Aquarius, culminating in year 2039, and its global impact on the consciousness of humanity. Join me with my very special guest as we remove the veil of death and destruction and its propaganda machinery for disempowerment. Join us as we deflate its power, providing healing solutions and methodologies for liberation, and the cultural framework for the restoration of Ma'at within us and on this earth. Join us.
My mother's house is a river. I am lured to her door, and immediately I am humbled. It is here she administers her cool water cure, abundantly pure. I see my face in hers clearly. My mother is a river, and when I am real, still, and quiet, she shows me her secrets. My mother, the diviner, O royal and divine one, shine your golden rays across our faces. Trace our insides with your light. Allow me flight on your wings. Carry me to the feet of the Father, to a place much farther than the sun. Take me to the land my ancestors come from. Show me how you spoke peace to 5 women chained and bound in Zanzibar, with iron so heavy and tight around their necks, their heads almost collapsed, but at the mere remembrance of your essence, they survived. Tell me how you spilled from the eyes of Anastasia in Brazil when her mouth was filled with metal, for urging others to break free of their fetters. You, mother, you better to me sometimes than I am to myself. Fan me with your feathers, make sweet the path, make me forget I ever had a problem. My mama will take any obstacle, will wrap it up in the finest gold, throw it over her shoulder, real brave and bold, in just a matter of minutes. Watch her healing unfold. I swear my mama is a miracle. With just a touch of her tips, barren women are given children. The sick become healed. I am filled with delight at just the mention of your name. My Fedifun Oshun, it is you, so often misunderstood. So often I wish I could stand atop the roof of your house and shout of your majesty, O golden lady. It is your face in paintings and pictures and feather and fans and brass and water. You are distinctly divine, and I can't say enough times that when you come to my mama, you better come smart, because her honey is sweet, but her blade is sharp. Oh, perfect protector of children, gracious defender of women, great lover of men. She comes to serve you her love on a platter. Eat up. There is plenty more where that came from. She is the generous one. Will prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow. My mama is a leader, a champion, a queen. Come, let her hide you. Come and get your feed, and you can stay till you are full. When you are here, there's plenty room in my mama's house. I am humbled and honored to be in such a holy space. I place you high, mama. Glad that I'm one of your daughters. You anoint my head with your waters, and my cup runneth over. And before you know it, I am back at your door to offer a salute and give you thanks once more. Iya mi ile odo.
Could you share a little bit about the history of that creation?
Give thanks. Yes, that piece was first actually written for my godmother, Iya Oshun Monife, celebrating her, at that point, it was 30-something year of being a priestess of Oshun. And being Omo Oshun, being a child of Oshun myself, it was only fitting and right. One, that would just speak to that essence of beauty and wonder, and that particular force of nature, right? So it's one, because everybody needs it. The world needs it. If we don't have it, we're out. We're out of it.
Yeah.
So with this essence of love and
Mm-hmm.
attraction and strategy, that comes with her, that she brings, with her is something that's absolutely needed in the world. This love energy and love vibration and everything that comes along with it is something that's truly needed. So going to, just the history of what and who that essence of energy, that particular force of nature is an important piece.
Could you give us a little more history about those case stories?
Yeah, so there's a story about the 5 women in Zanzibar. So automatically, when even writing about it, knowing that a number that is, a sacred number, one of the sacred numbers, whichever number is a sacred number, but one of the numbers that quote unquote belong. I'll use that word, that kind of language, belongs to Oshun, is the number 5, and hearing and knowing the story of the women in Zanzibar who were captured in this essence, and there were chains around their necks, they say, and the only thing that kind of got them up, it wasn't necessarily the name Oshun, and that's what this goes to, that this is not just about a name, right? This is not just about this particular language, but it is about this essence. It is about this energy. It was these women that were, chained and bound is the word that was the words that were used in the story. And the only thing they said, they kept their heads up, that at any moment they would sing, or they would chant, or they would, offer prayer, or they would, just even a glance. All of these kind of things was the only thing that really kept them alive, they said. So, it's something to know, one, of course, that anytime we see this essence of 5 women, symbolic, we know we're looking at, we know everything is symbol. So we're looking at, this essence here, and then 5 women, was something else. Then Anastasia in Brazil is another story that we can, hear about all the time. She was one of our fierce warrior, women, and she always spoke out of, against all the injustices, against enslavement, against the establishment in that sense. And they had to shut her up, right? So they put this iron bit in her mouth, and that went all around her face. But what was still clear, what was still, able to be seen, was her eyes. So at that point, it's like, okay, you can close my mouth, but I can still get this message across. So it's that kind of power that comes through that. I don't have to speak it, but the essence of what flows through me, the essence of what is in me, will spill out from my eyes, so that it doesn't have to come from my mouth. So those accounts, when we think about what this kind of essence of woman is, and this essence of love, like love is not just some this whimsical fantasy, of, oh, I'm so in love, oh, it's just bubbles and, these kinds of things. That's absolutely one aspect, But when we're talking about, the real verb of love.
And that's Western romanticized love.
Yeah, the real verb of love. It's this transforming kind of fire, that happens. It's this big boom of vibration that moves forward. So when we're thinking about this, thing of woman, is this true divine sense, and it so happens that in society, it's, oh, this woman has to be a particular way. But when this woman comes as, however she comes, with everything that she comes with, it's like, oh, Yeah, we wanted you, but we didn't want all of you. we just wanted the nice part. We just wanted the kind of quiet part. We just wanted the, so what she comes to show, and this plethora, and this line of goddesses, that we see throughout time. They don't just show, yes, this is an attractive force, but then we look at every word that attracting and attractive actually means. Like, what exactly are we attracting? These kinds of things that really play a part in how we have to look at our deities, and how we have to look at ourselves. That we are not just these nice, quiet, stay in your place, whatever that means, beings. We come sometimes in the overflow of a river. We come sometimes in the crash of a thunderstorm. We come in the spin of a tornado, of a hurricane. We come with machetes dipped in honey. We come with all of these kinds of things. We don't come just these one dimensioned type spirits, type beings.
That's the beauty of the African spiritual cultural tradition. And when you look at that plethora that you're talking about, because even in the Kemetic pantheon, you have HetHeru is one face, and then Sekhmet is another aspect of her. Right. And oftentimes within the patriarchal religions and, patriarchal ideologies, people then, they prefer, one face or one manifestation of her. Yeah. That is, who we are in our manifestations, but not the other.
Absolutely. We think about our mothers. We think about like Ya Santewa, and her role and what it is that she did for the sake of, for the sake of Ghana, the sake of this kingdom, when, it's like, to ask this question, they're afraid? The men are afraid? Okay. Let me go. This kind of thing. So it's these elements that people, we only want them, when they're handy, So these things, so then, there are these kinds of women in so many cases that, in time were forced to go underground, were forced to go in exile. We see it even in examples of, Asada. We see it in examples of, we see Ida B. Wells, we see, we're there, but now there is no burning us at the stake anymore. There is no, so we have to move. And this
they
is
use
what
other measures now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But, it takes, again, this kind of internal dialogue. It takes this external dialogue. It takes, us having a real and true village of women and of men who, of course, who support women that's doing this kind of work to really, stand up and move forward and know our power and know, our divine essence and know what it means to be a real lover, to be a real warrior, to be a, and to know how to move, to know how to be soft when we have to be soft, to know how to bend when we need to bend.
I was reading something just this morning that said, "Show me how you treat your women, and I'll show you the condition of your race." Absolutely. And that is very significant. And, as we move into levels of consciousness of that, incorporate reclaiming who we are and our own cultural traditions and way of life, then we're releasing, the Europeanization that we've gone through, the colonial impositions that cause us to experience this fragmented consciousness from the goddess who we all are, You know, she exists within all of us, you know, so
Yes.
that is something that is significant for us to elevate her within us and as she manifests on the earth. The thing about your work that's so profound and so significant is that it really brings creatively the vibration and the work also of Dr. Joy LaGrue in terms of post-traumatic slave syndrome. It is, I see it as a creative tool to really heal as well as connect to the ancestors in your performances, you know, and really do that healing on a spiritual, you know, and a physical level. So we'd love to segue into that healing space with your work. We know this place.
And we know this place. Yes, yes. For we have glanced more times than we'd like to share into eyes that stare with nothing there behind them but an unfulfilled wish and an unconscious yearning for life, though death rests comfortably beside us at night, their moans are louder. They come to visit the guards at the gate and they stay until morning, torturing their guilt-written insides. The silent cries of the keepers are louder than the booms that come from the guns they use to occupy the space. And we know this place. For we have seen more times than we'd like to imagine bloated cadavers floating through waters of a city gone savage, foraging the land for what can be salvaged, but what can be saved when all is lost. It happened in August, 29 days in. We are now 5 days out of the only place we knew to call house and home. Few things are certain. One, we have no food. Two, there are more bodies lying at the roadside than hot plates being distributed, or first aid being administered, or recognition as a citizen, 14th Amendment, X, refugee, check, and we know this place. Ever changing yet forever the same. Money and power and greed, the game. They suck and devour the souls of the slain. What a feast for the beast at their table of shame, with napkins round necks to catch the blood that drains from the flesh they chew. It's hell to gain, and we know this place all too well. Dank with the smell of death and doom, it hovers, it smothers, no growth, no room, no pretty, no please, just gray, just gloom, just born me a hope and it died too soon, just jucking, just jiving, just living, just fools. And we know this place, decked in all its array and splendor. Golden streets with good intentions capture our attention. Gadgets and inventions, pesticide food supply, flu-like symptoms, diabetic condition, a cancer in the system, health on hold. It's a pistol to the temple. Run to the churches. Tell RaatMwt simple. Good works and good deeds is what equals redemption. Tell me, please, Jesus never mentioned how the churchmen get extensions on freedom while children are being fondled from the altar to the streets, then back to the sanctuaries. It's kind of scary, ain't it, to know that both the prophet and the priest practice deceit, then come to the people and claim peace, peace. They come to the people and claim love, love. Where is the peace? But where is the love? Where is that balm in Gilead that can heal the wounded soul or make the half-man whole? I swear we know this place. We have vowed before never again to return, but here we are. Back in the desert, dry mouth and thirsting for waters from heaven. But come children, rally round, and maybe together we can make a sound that'll shake the trees or rattle the ground, make strong our knees. We's a freedom bound, and we know this place. Reclaim the crown, hold on to the prize. rise, never put it down. Be firm in the stance, no break, no bow. Got a forward arm, mama, make your move now. Forward arm, baba, make the move now. Forward, dear children, for freedom is now.
All right, that was really amazing. So I know that came out of the ethnic cleansing of Katrina. And so could you share, I know it was something that you went through. Can you share a little bit about your experience and how that became a part of the creative process for you?
Yes, with Katrina, especially having, lost everything myself, in Katrina, the house, clothes, just everything, people. So that the process is always this process of poems and creating, period. Art is important for me, especially in just that process of grieving. But at the same time, I also know that my calling is to facilitate that in others as well. So it's definitely something that came about. Just even the piece itself, how it came about when thinking of and just honoring one of my dear teachers, Dr. Morris FX Jeff Jr. One of his, what he would say all the time is, "We know this place. We know this place." He had this deep James Earl Jones type voice, We were in performing at the Panafest in Ghana, and that was one of the key moving phrases in our performance. And fast forward to a few years later, he made his transition. And I had always wanted to write something for him, but I just could never get anything out until Katrina, until after Katrina. Because certainly we did know that place, which reminded me so much at the same time of being in Ghana and witnessing and being in these dungeons where our ancestors were enslaved and kept in these holes, and having to stoop and lay down and sardine-like, as they would say, in moving forward on these ships and and everything else to make it to these shores. And it was much of the same, to have to come across these kinds of waters to I'm speaking at this point now of Katrina. Even though the first line is we know this place to glance more times than we'd like to share into eyes that stare with nothing there behind them but an unfulfilled wish, which with even just walking, nobody could believe that this was happening. Nobody could believe that. So you mean to tell me we can't live here? You mean to tell me we don't have a house anymore? You mean to tell me my house is floating up the street? You mean to tell me, my grandmother has drowned? You mean to tell me my baby has drowned? You mean to tell so it's all of these kinds of things. So what we are witnessing at this point, what was literally looking in the eyes of people and not seeing anything but this kind of despair, not seeing anything at one, but this kind of loss. And so it made me think of, this transport and kidnapping on these, ships of enslavement, where, again, we had to lay either spoon-like or sardine-like or, one on top of the other. And to imagine what that would look like for a soul to leave a body that's on top of me and to look into these eyes and not see anything there. You know, in some cases there were, okay, women and children go on this bus, men go on this bus. So, you know, we had this, it was the same thing, the same essence. Again, you know, we're beyond the language.
It's really key, getting beyond the trauma. I think that, you know, one of the things that Dr. Joy LaGrue says is that we need to be able to create spaces for healing, and that because, you know, the Holocaust that we experienced never received the type of funding for, you know, healing therapies, where there was never space and time in which we were able to heal those wounds, that, you know, it continues to be passed down intergenerationally. And then on top of that, you have, you know, the continued genocide that is unfolding at this time. And so people don't have a space. So I think it's important that we create that space, you know, and that we, you know, understand that, you know, to be able to ascend and move, you know, forward, we have to do what we need to do ritualistically, energetically, on every level, politically, you know, economically, to release what is binding us, that no longer serves us, that is scars of oppression that were imposed. So that is so powerful with your work, that, you know, these healing energies come through. I talk to many people who have seen our ads, and, you know, they are blown away by your work because of the energy that it carries. And so with this birthing process through the waters that we talked about in terms of Katrina, we talked about, you know, you're talking about numerology and the deities and how, you know, they govern over certain numbers, and that this was actually something that was coming through for you to utilize the experience to heal other people. Do you feel that in that experience, that when you travel around the country now, it allows you to get a better understanding of the trauma, post-traumatic slave syndrome, that our people need to heal from? Has it brought that into full light within you, so that you can utilize your tools, your gifts for healing?
Oh, absolutely. It you know, because we are who we are wherever we are. that's one thing for sure, you know. So it's wherever I are very much the same, you know. We might have a little, you know, something that's different, you know, culturally, because we're in different regions at this point, you know. But ultimately, you know, we're absolutely the same. But then, you know how it is where we are. There are some of us who are charged to learn as we teach.
Play some of your recent works, because I know I know that your work has evolved, and that's pretty much what I got from what you're sharing. And the recent works that you had shared with us were very powerful. It really reminds me also of Jill Scott's work. Like, your work brought her to mind. And when I initially saw, you know, you and heard your work, I didn't hear those pieces, and so I didn't have the backdrop, you know, of the music. And when I started hearing, you know, your work with the music and song, it was just like, wow, you know, this is on the next. And it really reminded me, you know, of that energy that Jill Scott had, particularly in the beginning stages of her work as well, when she was really soulful, you know, on the level that I see you. Yeah, so is she one of the artists that inspire you, and who are some of those artists as well?
Yeah, I would say Jill is absolutely. You know, being a woman in that business can be a tough kind of thing, sometimes. So yeah, she's absolutely a one who is an inspiration and a study even, to with looking at how things move in this space, and just being able to express yourself in a manner in which we do as artists and poets. I will always say, and then being in this industry and then being out in the manner in which she is, and still allowing herself to be vulnerable about relationships, about the world, about all of these kind of things is extremely important to me. So anybody that moves in that space is a great inspiration. So we have your Jill Scotts, of course, your Badus and India Aries, and all of these people. But I'm even bringing it further. I'm inspired by our just writers that come. Aikwe Arma, I'm a big fan of, being a writer and one who, speaks in a cultural and healing, voice, even as far as your James Baldwins, who, would tell you this aspect of poetry, how the poets, truly are the ones who, really feel the heartbeat and the pulse, of the people and the pulse of the streets in a sense. Your Jane Cortez's, Sonia Sanchez's, and, all of these people who come before us in this particular line of poetry, and there's so many more to name, of course. So it's all of those things. I'm inspired by even the young people. I work with such hood rappers sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Which is a trip. I work with 2 Chainz and people like this. Who you have people who ask me, how in the world do you do work with what? But this is when you see that our judgment at the same time comes out. We have this conscious kind of judgment as well that comes out. So I'm definitely one who, this is a person I've been knowing for over 20 years at this point in our lives. So, it's
is
one
this
of those,
the work with Players Circle, Ghetto, that you're speaking of?
That is one song that we did together. Yes, that's one of the songs that we did together. So
that was fabulous. I thought that was great.
Yeah, thank you, sis. Yes, that's one that we did together. But so having to be in those circles with people who seem other than, and I'm saying that because just for us to know that the illusion of separation is just that, an illusion. If we truly believe that we are one, we have to practice this in every area. That's when we say that God is seen in the opposition and the opposing sides and aspects, of it as well. So it, to do this kind of work and to be charged to do it wherever I'm charged to do it, whether that's with I'm using Jill Scott as an example because that was the example that was first given, but to whether we're moving in the space with the Jill Scott or whether we're moving in the space with the 2 Chainz, our mission is the same. You know what I mean? So it goes to again bringing this aspect of healing to whatever space we're in, right? There's a old song, old spiritual, and the words were, oh children, go where I send thee. How shall I send thee? I'm gonna send thee, 2 by 2, and these kind of things, and that's really how it is. Like,
is this what your work? I'm sorry, with Beats by Dre, that was commissioned is speaking to, and this was the soundscape for Serena Williams. Could you talk a little bit about that work?
Yes, so that piece, that piece actually was the beginning of 2 Chainz' song Black Unicorn, but I did the beginning poem, a piece to that song, and Serena heard it, and she wanted the piece for her commercial. And they called. It was such a beautiful moment because Beats called and said, well, do you you follow a lot of tennis? And me being who I am, I said, not really. I mean, I know, Serena and Venus and Arthur Ashe. Look, I'm naming people that done left the planet at this point, you know what I mean? They said, okay, well, that's fine. As long as you know Venus and Serena. I was like, yeah, I mean, of course, we know Venus and Serena. I might not follow tennis, I'm not, the tennis match is on. Let's, that's not necessarily me. But, when they said, well, Serena wanted your work to, represent her in a couple commercials. I said, well, I bet you I know everything about tennis. Okay,
right.
That's fine. That's perfect. So, it was a great experience, and that's what I'm saying. So, doing work, I know people who would, if asked by a rapper in that type of category that 2 Chainz is in some cases, they would say, no. They would pass up any opportunity, I would say, because it truly is an opportunity to show who you are in a different arena.
Yes, and I think that the two of you coming together, that was all, spirit, because, 2 powerful African women coming together to do projects like that is definitely something that our people need to hear and see and, reflect on. We'd like to segue into your pieces, your new pieces that you shared with us, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that as well.
Sure.
And this is how it goes when your face is to the concrete, and it seems nowhere to go when the spirit meets defeat. All the talk is cheap, and the babies gotta eat, and the rent gotta get paid, head heavy. No sleeping on them week to week, we working day to day just to get paid, to get by. It still seem like the only thing left in the account is just the hope that the scope of the vision is wide enough just to make the mission clear enough, and had enough of coming up on the rough side of the mountain, bouncing back and forth, imbalanced and out again. What does one do when confusion comes for you? It's slow tread, high water, now you're questioning, you're calling, but God don't work in bargains, only absolutes. Ooh, ain't nothing like the truth. Come through and show proof that everything created is connected. There's a oneness manifesting in the curse. There's still a blessing, and it may seem complex. Yes, you probably correct. Look, we just on some next scientific, futuristic, mathematical XX. I swear, it's so beyond your 16 bars, a catchy chorus and metaphors and similes, please. When sometimes all you need is a word, a sound, a prayer to change the air, shift the atmosphere. Sit back and be still, reflect on how you feel. It sounds simple, but it's oh so real. Come back into the center, reconstruct your mental picture, leave behind the things you've been through. Now and here, we moving in the positive, light field healed, all systems are aglow. Fresh, steady, ever ready, going higher, deeper depths, stable steps, one with the power. I'm ascending on the path, so flying, entering dimensions, turning water into wine, and trusting the process, thought form progress, levitated, elevated, activated consciousness, and it may seem complex, and yeah, you probably correct. Look, we just on some next, like I swear, it's so beyond on your 16 bars and catch it chorus and metaphors and similes, please. When sometimes all you need is a word, a sound, a prayer to change the air, shift the atmosphere. Sit back and be still, reflect on how you feel. It sounds simple, but it's oh so real.
Yes, and that was 16 Bars with Sunni Patterson. And Sunni, that was really amazing. I really enjoyed the jazz as well. And I grew up on with some jazz artists out of St. Louis, and that always takes me there. We have only 2 minutes to close, and so much I wanted to cover with you. I don't know if you can return in the future, but we'll see what your schedule allows.
Well, so there's a website, sunnypatterson.com.
And this is how it goes when your face is to the concrete. And it seems nowhere to go when the spirit meets defeat and all the talk is cheap. And the babies gotta eat and the rent gotta get paid, head heavy. No sleeping on them week to week. We working day to day just to get paid, to get by. It still seem like the only thing left in the account is just the hope that the scope of the vision is wide enough just to make the mission clear enough. And had enough of coming up on the rough side of the mountain, bouncing back and forth, imbalanced and out again. What does one do when confusion comes for you? It's slow tread, high water. Now you're questioning, you're calling, but God don't work in bargains, only absolutes. Who ain't nothing like the truth. Come through and show proof that everything created is connected. There's a oneness manifesting in the curse. There's still a blessing, and it may seem complex. Yes, you probably correct. Look, we just on some next scientific, futuristic, mathematical